Oh, Medhue, could you do me one quick favor? I was curious as what would happen if you made your ears really big and then try to make them pointy.
I haven't tried making them pointy. I think that's new, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's one of the new sliders. You know,
Okay, ears.
obviously using the ears to animate, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. They have ear animation in here, too. Ear angle doesn't do anything. Okay.
Ear size and the pointiness of the ears are the only two that were connected into the new bones. Or
Huh. It changed.
Yeah,
It changed from what it was, though. They were pointier than just a second ago. And as soon as I saved it, it changed. Let me try and do this again. Yeah, that was not what I saw before. That's weird. Now it's all screwed up. Huh. I don't know. Let me try this one more time. Ears. Size, okay. And tips. See, I should take a picture of it right now because as soon as I save this, it's gonna go off this editor. Let me take a picture here. There we go. Save to disk.
I have to look at the Avatar Lab XML file to see what the ear tips are doing, if they're changing scale or if they're actually translating. If they're actually translating, then your animation overrides that translation. That would make sense why you're not keeping the same ear pointiness.
Yeah, that ear pointiness just like goes away.
Let me check. I actually have it open right now. Let me look real quick at the Avatar Lab.
Let me find that file for you too, the picture. There it is. Oh, I have to upload this.
Yeah, I was right. Yeah, the ear tips themselves, the bones, just offset. They don't change scale. So that would make sense that your animation, once it's not playing while you're in, the appearance editor, is overriding your animations, and then as soon as you pop out of the the appearance editor, your animations take over instantly and move the ear tips back to where your animation has them going.
But that's not really expected behavior, is it? How is it? It's moving the bone?
Yeah, the slider itself for the ear pointiness is just changing the offset of the bone. It's not increasing the scale or anything. So it makes sense. So it makes sense that your rotation, that your animation that's playing right now, overrides the offset of the appearance slider.
But that means that's unusable then, because people are going to be animating those bones. That's why they're there. Right.
Now the scale, since your animation isn't changing the scale of your ears, and the other part of the ear, the other bones, When you change the size of the ear, it just changes the scale. So your animation is translating it and rotating it, but it's not changing its scale. So the scale is holding fast with the animation.
So why don't they do the same thing with the ear tip, though? Do you just scale it instead of offsetting it?
Yeah, that's something that we can bring up with Matrice. Matrice is the one who made that particular slider. He made actually almost all the new sliders for the face. I came in at the last week or so and was just helping to clean up things and test things, and if there was a particular problem with that particular bone, to try to come up with a solution. But Matrice has spent weeks and weeks full-time just working on the face sliders. So I'll have to ask them, is there another way of doing that? Of course, they may not be willing to change it at this point.
It's a documented thing on the forums. The Matrice was posting about the translation-based animations not working with the sliders correctly. That was where I got that's why I brought up the topic.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense to me that an animation will override any slider setting that has to deal with just offsets,
Right.
or offsets itself.
Can you hear me a little better? Okay. The issue with on the forums was that that the sliders were getting overwritten by the animations, and he said that was just like intended behavior. That was supposed to be, the way things were. Kind of a working as intended thing.
I think we knew about the problem that, and since we're allowing, before we only allowed rotations, and for animations except for the pelvis bone, but now since we're allowing translations as well as rotations, animation translations will override any other translation as far as the appearance sliders are concerned.
Right.
Translations seem to start from whatever the position is in the slider. So if the slider had a setting of 45 degrees when the default is 0, that the rotation animation starts at 45 as if 45 is 0 when the rotation starts to play the animation.
Right,
Well,
the
that's
translations don't obey that same behavior. The translations are a fixed point in the actual animation, so the bone's going to go there no matter what.
Correct.
But most of the bones are extra bones. Most of the bones that are used for sliders are extra bones, or they're using scale instead.
Right, so the majority of the sliders are going to work just fine.
Right. Mainly thinking
It's just a select few are going to be weird.
most likely most of them will work properly, and just a few of them will get this weird sort of thing. Because most of the time, yeah, we just use scale. We didn't use translations, offsets very, very often, if I can remember correctly. I mean, there's Matrice. I mean, he tied in so almost every single head and face slider in there. There's only a handful that didn't get in there.
It's actually amazing.
Yeah, I was quite amazed at the incredible job that Matrice had done. And like I said, I only came in, and I was working 14-hour days for like a week, just testing, his and helping him tweak it a little bit here and there, maybe finding out a solution to a particular problem, or something like that. But Matrice did like 98 or 99% of the work, even though I had put a ton of hours in.
Do you know what the teeth bones are doing?
Okay, well, the purpose of the teeth bones were so that when you move your mouth left and right or up and down, that you would have something for the teeth to be rigged to 100%, so that the teeth would move when you moved your mouth left and right, up and down.
Uh-huh.
If you rigged your teeth to the lip bones, moving left and right, up and down, your teeth would get all misshapen when you would have an animation play. So this way, the teeth needed their own bone so that they could be rigged 100% to that bone, so they wouldn't warp when you were moving the sliders around, or if you were animating the lips. And then
Yeah.
I suggested adding the chin bone so that we could tie in a few more head shape sliders in. And it came in. Yeah, and it came in handy for a couple other sliders as well.
But what is that chin bone? What do we like? This is what confuses me in a lot of ways, because it's like, so what do I rig to these bones to make these things work? You know, like what do I rig to the chin bone? Just the chin?
The tip of your chin, most likely. For a non-human avatar, it'd be up to you if you want certain sliders for the chin to also affect your, like if you wanted a wolf with an overbite or an underbite, you could rig the tip of your chin of your wolf to the chin bone, and then they would be able to move the slider in and out to adjust the overbite or underbite of your wolf.
This is going to need so much documentation.
I have that working right now. I haven't played around with it though. I haven't tried. Like I said, other than just testing out what you guys have done and seeing if it works on my avatar, I haven't played around with it too much. But I did find the teeth bones to be problematic. I rigged them. I assumed they were just for the teeth, so I just rigged my teeth to them, and my teeth were offset when I tried to use it all. So that was the only time I tried it, though. From then on, I just haven't been rigging them.
Right. I think from Matrice's point of view and from our point of view, when he was creating the tying in the face sliders, the bones to the face sliders, he was mainly concerned with humans, and we figured that anybody who wasn't doing a non-human character would be more giving out a default shape to go with that avatar, and that they wouldn't really be using the sliders as much. I just suggested having you check out the sliders to see how they affected yours, simply because you were using offset bone positions and you were also using animations with offsets in it at the same time. So I was curious as to how the sliders would affect some of both of those.
You can't really just say it's for humans, though. You know, if you give it to us, and the customers, too, are going to demand it. I want to change my avatar, you know, even if it's...
Well, yeah, it's not something that's going to be it's not something that people are going to go like, oh, I can move my teeth on my wolf, like, this is important to me. Like, they won't even know that it's possible unless you rig to the teeth bones, and then, like,
Right. If you rigged
each avatar is going to be different.
Right. If you rigged your teeth just to the jawbone, I know the lower teeth are parented directly to the jawbone, and the upper teeth I think are rigged to the new face root. So yeah, making a wolf avatar, you don't have to use the chin bone, you don't have to use the teeth bone. You could rig just your lower all your lower jaw to just the M jawbone if you didn't want
that was my
those
point.
sliders to have an effect. Yeah, exactly what she was saying.
I mean, if you don't make it an option, you don't make it a thing, then people won't even know to ask for it.
Yeah.
Right. I'm really quite surprised and happy that the sliders are working as well as they do with your wolf right now, and that it's really nice. At least people can modify the wolf to kind of get their own kind of spin on it. I kind of like the bigger ears.
Oh yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm gonna, as much as I might even make them all fitted mesh. Who knows?
Yeah. And but I do know, like, as far as testing the face, we were using Matrice was really nice enough to supply it to me and everybody. And the face weighting plays a huge important role as to how well they'll react to the sliders.
Oh yeah, and I could spend days just weighting the face bones. Really?
Right. I was thinking what might be an easier way to rig, say, a non-human character or face, weight it, is to create a blend shape or a morph between the human face and the wolf face. So say we're going to do a wolf, and you transfer the weights from Matrice's head, which is weighted really, really nice, to your morphed wolf face, and then transfer those weights from your morphed wolf face to your final regular shaped wolf face to get the weights onto that. I wonder if that would work.
I don't know, but I mean, there's so many bones that you almost have to do it all yourself, you know.
Right.
Especially on something like this, you know.
Right. I know I'm going to try creating a brand new avatar head, that maybe has some sort of extremes in it, so it's not just like a regular default human head, and try that myself. Because I know in Maya, we can create blend shapes really easy, and with a simple plugin called Dora Skin Weights, you can save the weights, so I will make a morph going from the default avatar head shape to my custom head shape, so that the vertices are all lined up really nice with Matrice's head. Copy the weights over to that, save the weights using Dora Skin Weights, so I have the weights saved, exported, which save the weights for each individual vertex in the right vertex order, and then take those weights that I've exported out and import them onto my custom mesh head to weight it and see if that works pretty well. I think it will. At least for humans, it should work really well. I was just curious as if it would work pretty good for something like a wolf.
Most of the time I don't even worry.
Oh, you cut out there. Most of the time you don't worry what? Uh-oh, we lost you, Medhue.
If the mesh is too efficient, you almost have too few verts to weight it to. You almost need more verts for all these bones,
Oh, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, to get a nice deformation. Yeah. Again, it will be up to the individual content creator exactly how much they want it to work with the sliders.
Yeah, that was only my only point, that you almost need so many, a good amount of verts to be able to weight all these bones to it, to especially like on my wolf too. I mean, I made this as efficient as I could, but it's almost too efficient. I almost need more verts.
Right. I mean, it looks awesome.
Well, this one's for Coyote, Linda. He wanted it standing up.
Okay, I thought you meant the mesh was a coyote, but no, it's a wolf, but made for Coyote Linden.
Yes. Well, I started it with my wolf, and that's why I had all the textures and everything. But I have to kind of convert it to look more like a coyote, and he's going to get a whole new texture for him too.
Awesome. The bigger ears actually kind of gives it that coyote look.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's what I mean. He can adjust that himself now.
Awesome.
But the fun part is kind of doing, I had to actually work on code to make all this stuff kind of work. And I'm not a coder, so it was interesting. But I basically have a system that handles my head and my facial expressions, and then I have a system just for my tail, but they all kind of interact because some of my tail animation has ear animation, some of the ear and face have other animations that do things, but they all just kind of mix together. I'm still kind of tweaking it, of course. But it's interesting how that all happens. And the base system I'm using is their set override scripting on top or underneath all of that.
Wait, what are you doing specially?
We lost you again, Medhue.
What am I doing specially? What do you mean by that? Oh, I just have different systems that are working. You know, I just have a basic override script for the basic body movements, so I have an idle and walk and running and stuff. But then on top of all that, I have another system that just handles the ears, that just has facial animation and handles the ears. And then I have a whole other system that just handles the tail. But this could go on and on. You could, for every set of bones that you have.
Is this system that you have, are you going to be selling it on the marketplace?
Well, I will give out a basic set override AO script, but I can't really give out the one I'm working on for everything else because I didn't originally create it. I'm just editing it. So
right.
If he would let me, maybe I would, but I doubt he's going to let me do that.
Yeah. Well, I remember you were working with Troy, or was it Coyote? A while back with the animation override. I've had a few people ask me.
I think it was Dan created a simple one for us to use.
Oh yeah, that's right, it was Dan.
But I just worked off that. I mean, it's just basic override system. It's not that complicated compared to the ones that I was using. But I find this new way that I'm doing it a lot better. Like I'm going to have an override just to do random stands. And that'll be its own system too. Who knows?
Yeah,
it might be heavy with code, though. I don't know. I'll have to see.
Yeah, I've had a couple people ask me about animations. If there's going to be like an open source animation override that works really well with all the new changes of the translations and the new face bones and all that. And I was hoping that there would be. Especially one that's more efficient than what's currently out there or whatever, easier to use.
Yeah. And, the basic set override features just written out in this basic code, I'm going to put that out there and anybody will be able to just do the basic movements. But really, the specialty of Bento is going to be all this extra stuff, the tail, random tail movements, random ears, random, facial expressions and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of outside of that little scope. I mean, you'd almost have to be a coder to really do all this.
Right.
It's probably not a problem for you, right?
Compared to, Matrice has like a master's degree in coding. I'm like an intermediate high schooler compared to him.
Well, I have to go. We have dinner arrangements, so I got to get moving.
Awesome.
Bye.
We'll see you later. Thanks for hanging around and trying this thing.
Yep. I'll see everybody next week.
See ya.
Bye.
If anybody didn't know what I was talking about with the groin bone, we came upon a deadline of getting the facial sliders all tied in early last week. And a couple of days ago, a couple of male mesh clothing designers contacted me and asked hey, are you going to tie in the M groin bone to the package slider? And I did bring it up while we were working on it, but it was only one of 1,000 different things we were doing, so it didn't get in. And so Veer was kind enough to allow me to write out the code and give it to him, and he's going to go to his higher-ups and see if he can't get it in, but he doesn't think it will be able to get in. It was mainly for male clothing designers who really felt that they had been left out with fitted mesh as far as the package, that really should have been added to the fitted mesh. And so that's why Vera was saying, if a lot of people ask for it, maybe we can convince the higher ups to allow us to add it to the avatar lad. It wouldn't be changing any of the skeleton, it'd just be changing the avatar lad slightly, adding it to the slider. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up to what people have been typing in. Oh yeah, Elizabeth, yeah, I totally agree, yeah, an open source. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, an open source script that works. For the heads, yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I tried to get a number of male clothing designers to come to this meeting, said if it were really important to you. But this, like I said, this all happened in the last 2 days. And so I tried to I said, if this is important to you, come to this meeting. And a couple said they were going to come, but I don't know if they made it or not. Yeah. Yeah, I said at least give some feedback in the Bento feedback forum. Because if nobody says they want it, they're going to think there's not much of a demand for it. Yeah, I understand about time limits too. It's and I said it did come in the last minute. Like I said, I think it was Tuesday when I started writing the code. It took me a couple hours to get it tied in, and Veer got it. No, I did it on Monday. Veer got it Tuesday morning, and then I tried to talk to the guy in particular who asked for it. I had a couple of people ask for it over a couple of months, and then I was Skyping with somebody, giving them some help, and he was asking me about it, and I was like, well, okay, I'll do it, but, you're going to need to be vocal about it. and so hopefully he'll start to get more involved. At this point, it's kind of a long shot. It's only if we can convince the higher ups that we can pop it in there. It's really just a small bit of code and just a small change to the avatar lad to make it work. I also do understand Veer's position that his higher ups want him to get this finished and they gave him a deadline and they want to get it out as soon as possible. And so every time we make a little change, that delays it even more. Yeah, true. I mean, I announced this to my MayaStar group just like an hour before the meeting. It didn't hit me that I was like, until today, I was like, I should log on to Second Life and announce it to my meeting. And so that maybe a few, because I have quite a number of male clothing designers, maybe they'll come. So, but like I said, this all sort of happened at the last minute, so it's not surprising that they didn't show up. Maybe they'll show up next week. I did go on to one other Maya Autodesk group and try to get people there to come. But you can only do that in chat. In my own group, I was able to send out a notice that as people log on, they'll be able to get it. I didn't want to step on Gaia's toes or Matrice's toes and go into the Blender Avastar group and make this announcement. I was like, I'm not sure if I could, even though I am a member of that group, I wasn't sure if I should really step on their toes, since Matrice did 98, 99% of the work of getting the sliders in there. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll probably IM him. I know he's in a different part of the world, so he's in bed right now. But I'll send him a message and ask him, hey, would it be okay? He's probably so sick of the appearance sliders that he may run away screaming. He really did. He did the last month work full time, 40 hours plus a week on those sliders. Like I said, I just came in the last week or so. He was working his butt off. He's really the unsung hero of the Bento group, and he doesn't like to blow his own horn. Oh, no, this is all free. It's to our advantages. It's definitely to Avastar's advantage to be on top of the changes and to have an input in on them. And especially with MayaStar. It is to our advantage to be in there, But no, neither of us are being compensated financially by Linden Lab for the amount of work and time and money, or time and work that we've put into it. It will hopefully come back to us in Second Life being better, more popular, more people in here, more content creators. So it will hopefully be of our benefit indirectly. But no, yeah, we're not being compensated for our time or effort financially by Linden Lab. Right. So it's been, it's great that Avastar makes enough money to support Gaia and Matrice, and I think maybe one or two others. I'm not sure how many people are in their group. I only know Gaia and Matrice, and I only know Matrice. Gaia, I don't know that very well. But Matrice I know very well from the number of hours we've spent talking about Bento and working out the problems with the Avastar lad and what have you. I've got to know Matrice very well and consider him a very good friend, and am so in awe of him and his ability and skills. There is no slouch either. Beer knows his stuff too. Yeah, I was talking to somebody and they were thinking that actually having a smaller number of Lindens working on Second Life while the majority of Lindens are working on Sandstar has sort of really helped Linden Lab see the need and for input and help from content creators. So that's why we probably were given a much greater voice than Linden Lab has had in the past. At least that's the theory. So, and I think it's actually worked out quite well. Oh, no, feel free. Oh, Matrice knows how much I absolutely think he's incredible. Doesn't like the limelight that much. But I tell him, I'll put your name out there. I'll make sure you get the credit you deserve. Embarrass him. Drag him out in front of that limelight and say, hey, this is the guy that did so much incredible work for everybody. I've already warned him. Everybody who's involved in the closed Bento group, everybody helped to a greater or lesser degree, came to the meetings, gave feedback, tested things out, gave great ideas. Shadeen Monroe was really active there for a long time in the Bento group, especially in the first half. And she deserves a lot of credit too, along with everybody else who gave feedback. So I wanted to make sure that Matrice got his credit. Credit was due was credit. I think I got that backwards. And also everybody who's been coming to these meetings after Bento was released and we started having these Bento meetings here on the beta test grid, that the feedback and information we've gotten from everybody who shows up at these meetings regularly has really played a huge impact. We weren't going to have bone translations. We talked about it in the closed beta group, and we discussed it, and it was, sort of, they decided, no, let's just stick with rotations, and then it was due to a number of the people who come here regularly, content creators creating, the different avatars, the different centaurs, and the elephant, and Medhue's fly, and his wolf, that, it really got the message got across loud and clear that translations for animations for all the bones will make it so much better, which it has and will. Yeah, definitely. The great thing about the animating the bones, being able to animate the bones by translating them all, is, like I said earlier, theoretically, you can use any bone you want anywhere, even if they're not directly connected. You could use the tip of a finger bone for a foot, your lip bone for the foot's knee, and a nose bone for the hip of that bone, even though they're not directly connected. But because you can animate the translations so that their relative positions move like they would as if they are connected, you can use any bone for any purpose, which means the only limitation for avatar skeleton configuration is the total number of bones that are in the default avatar itself. I would stay away from using the default eye bones for other things, simply because they swivel and move to where your avatar is looking at. But yeah, theoretically, you can use any bone you want anywhere for any purpose, in any configuration. You just got to make sure that you make all your own animations with translations, to move the bone into the right position and to rotate it as it's moving. If you're going to be using it as like a knee joint or something. But yeah, it opens up the doors. People who have wanted custom skeletons in Second Life, you have them. We have them now with this ability to animate translations. It's not going to be as easy as uploading a custom skeleton. You have to jump through some hoops. You'll have to make your own animations, but it's now possible. I'm catching up with what Kate said. The way I envisioned it, a lot of this hasn't really been tested, so we don't know for sure. So this is sort of theoretical, but in theory, it sounds like it should work. Okay, say I wanted to make a crab avatar, so I make my crab avatar mesh, and then I make a custom crab skeleton to animate that mesh, and then so I can create IK legs for all 6 legs, crabs have 6 legs, right? Yeah, I think so. And then take the human avatar skeleton, the default skeleton, and you would move those bones, and in Maya it's called snapping. You just snap it to the bone so that the default avatar bone moves and snaps to the custom, where you want it to be in the custom avatar skeleton. And then you constrain that default avatar bone to the custom bone that you snapped it to in the custom skeleton. Then you animate the custom skeleton, and using its IK handles and stuff. And then that will rotate and move the default avatar skeleton, so that when you export out the animation, you're exporting out the movements of the default avatar's skeleton, its position and rotations. And I see. Yeah, 2 pinchers and 6 legs. So yeah, 8 total limbs. And so, in theory, that's how you could easily animate it. Is that you can make your own custom skeleton to do the animations on, because you may not be able to move the bones if you don't use a custom skeleton and you just move the default avatar's bones to try to animate with. You may not be able to get a nice IK handle to be able to easily rotate and move the joints how you want them to move. As far as animations, what we were thinking about is that for people making human mesh avatars, is that don't move the bones. Leave the bones in their default positions for the face. That way, if somebody makes an animation using just rotations, there'll be no problem. And even if somebody uses an animation with translations for the face bones, there still shouldn't really be any problem. But if you make an avatar mesh face and then you make custom bone positions for it, then you're going to have to make your own animations for that particular mesh, and the animations won't be as interchangeable, unless somebody's animating that custom mesh with just an animation using rotations only. Rotations are more universal. Animating with just rotations is more universal. Doesn't really matter where the bones are located if they're just rotating. Animations with translations get a lot more sticky, especially if you're using bones with custom offset positions. The animation overrides those positions. My guess would be if Medhue's avatar for his wolf was to run an animation made for a human face with the bones in the human face position, and those bones use translations. That animation used translations to animate the human face. Medhue's wolf face would snap into the shape of a human face. They'd be all distorted, but the bones would snap to where the bones are for a human face, and his wolf avatar would get really super distorted face. Would be my guess. Like I said, these are all theory. We haven't really been able to test much of this out for sure. That's why when Veer brought it up during the thing today, I was like, well, let's try it out with Medhue's wolf and see how bad does his wolf head get misshapen when moving the sliders. Luckily the sliders didn't interfere too bad, so I was pretty happy with that. But yeah, if he was to play a different animation, my guess is that it would disfigure his wolf head quite a bit if he was trying to play it. Like I said, an animation made for a human face with the bones in the human bone configuration that was using translations for animations. Makes sense. Okay, bye. Right. That's why Vera's been hoping that now that we basically have the skeleton finalized, that more people will start to make more avatars and more animations. And that's why I kind of brought up to the meeting today that Maya users don't yet have a way of exporting out animations with translations, not with BBH files, and there's no exporter for .anim files that are compatible with Second Life yet. Aura is working on that, although I don't know if she's finished yet. I mean, she's getting pulled in like 20 different directions doing other things for Linden Lab. Oh, Elizabeth, yes, who's working on that? Yeah, Aura Linden is working on being able to allow BVH animations to upload that have translations of all the bones. She's doing that for Linden Lab, and then kind of in her spare time, she's helping me to try to create an exporter for Maya that will be, I'm sure it will be open source. It's not just going to be for Maya Star. That Maya users will be able to export out either a BVH file with the translations in it or a .anim file. Maya can export out a .anim file, but it's not compatible with Second Life. So she's trying to write an exporter from scratch that will export out a .anim file for Maya users. But it's in her spare time. It's when she can get around to it. She's doing it. I've offered to pay her. Said, hey, I'm willing to pay you for it. But she's like, no. This is something that I like to do. So she may get so busy that it never gets done, or it doesn't get done for months, or she may have finished it and I just don't know about it yet. Oh, you were trying for 3D Max. Yeah, there's 8 legs. Yeah, we'll eventually get it into Maya and into Maya Star. Matrice has been on top of things so well with Avastar that Avastar works by trying to recreate how everything works in Second Life. So while he was writing the sliders and stuff, he gets 2 birds with 1 stone. He gets it to work with Avastar, and that's how he tests it. And because Avastar works so similar, because the way they made Avastar to work as closely as Second Life as possible, using all the same code and everything, Avastar is able to update and stay on top of things much easier because of the way it's set. It's not that he can get it done and he's getting it done so that Avastar does it first. No, it's because it's easier for him to test the changes and stuff with Avistar than to try to do it and then to hop into Second Life and test it and this and that. So, but Avistar does get the benefit that it stays on top of the updates and changes because it's a part of the building process itself. Well, MayaStar, the way I made it is I have to input everything manually. And so, which has its own advantages, but it's much harder to maintain the updates with the changes in Bento. So I've basically been having to wait till the facial sliders are set and finished before I can go in and add them manually into MayaStar, into Maya.